Okay, we are live, everybody. Can everybody see me and hear me? Looking good on my end. All right. We are posted out. Let me actually post this to Facebook. Gotta stick to it, guys. Gotta keep on grinding the Facebook game. Gotta go multi-platform. Okay, so I'm going to give a minute or two for people to filter in. I don't think any of the other primary Seahawks post-game streamers have started yet. So I'm going to let some people filter in here. All right. Here we go. So we're relatively happy today. I don't think a lot of us are necessarily thrilled, but I think we are mostly pretty happy with that result. I think we're mostly pretty happy with the outcome. And we know that every week is an opportunity to get better. So all I can say is we're 6-3. We trail in our division by a tiebreaker, and everything we say has to be filtered through that fact. All right. So to sum up today's game, it was a lot of back and forth. A lot of back and forth emotions about how to feel about this game. I thought that our offense struggled to cash in until the fourth quarter. Near the end of the game, they were finally able to crack through and get what they needed to get. But for a lot of this game, it was they moved the ball and then couldn't finish the job. They kicked field goals. They came up short on some drives. I thought Gino was shaky in that first half. I did not think that he was part of the solution in that first half. I'm not sure he was part of the problem, but he really lost me at halftime with what he did to trick off a field goal opportunity right with a couple seconds left. That really lost me way more than most of the other things that people get stuck on when it comes to Gino. I think a lot of the things that Gino gets criticized for are unfair, but there's nobody else to look at but him for that one. He needs to understand what he needs to do in that situation. So, offensively, I felt like the second half got a lot better. I thought Waldron was improved. Gino had a good half. We ran the ball. It took a while. There were some frustrations. There were some problems, but I thought that we eventually were able to crack through running the ball. Ran some effective screens. And also proud of DK bouncing back, having a big game. Clutch catches at the end. Lockett had a big game after almost getting concussed. JSN had an okay day. I know he had the drop, but he had some other good plays in there as well. So there are some things that I like, but overall, I expected a little bit more against that Washington defense. A Washington defense that, for a lot of this game, seemed to know what was coming. It's like they know what we're going to run before we run. That's one of the things that bothers me about this game. If there was something to be bothered about from this game, I think it would just be the fact that it seems like the opposing defense knows what's coming. Like the thing that really ate me up was the 3rd and 3 on the last touchdown drive, where Noah Fant goes out into the flat, and it's a play that we see all the time across the entire NFL. It's always an easy few yards and a first down. And somehow Washington knew it was coming, and they were on Fant as he caught the ball for a 2-yard loss. So I feel like there's something going on in this offense to where things are telegraphed. That's kind of my hang up right now. I don't know what it could be. I don't know who to blame, but there is something going on here where things are telegraphed. And there were plenty of other plays in this game where I felt like we're not doing anything beyond just running receivers through the secondary and hoping somebody gets open. There's not much scheming players open. There's not much running misdirection or trying to get deceptive or tricky to force somebody to get open. We just hope that somebody can get open way too often. So I'm still concerned about the offense after that game. It was obviously much better than what we've seen lately. But against that defense, you should be able to do a little bit better. The good news is the offensive line did play a lot better, I think. I was impressed with the offensive line's play. I thought they pass blocked especially well. The only issue that I really had with them were some of the penalties. So we're stepping in the right direction in terms of the offensive line. And at the end of the day, I want to stress this. In the NFL, you make your money in the fourth quarter. You make your money at the end of games. So Geno Smith fricks around for about a half, starts to get it going in that third quarter. And you blow up in the fourth quarter. I understand that that's ultimately what matters the most in this league. And Geno, whatever he did in this game, and there was some stuff in this game that really set me off, he did add a third, fourth quarter or overtime game-winning drive to his ledger. Defensively, they played so well for most of this game. I was so impressed. They gave up 2 kind of fluky plays, 2 kind of fluky big gains to backs out of the backfield on semi-broken plays. Basically the exact same play, same exact mix-up. And I looked at that, and I went, okay, that's just weird stuff that happens. Sometimes you just give up a big chunk play. But then that fourth quarter, they completely fell apart, let Washington go down the field twice to tie the game. They gave up short stuff. They gave up long stuff. They missed tackles. They didn't get pressure. They did it all on those 2 drives. And it's hard for me to speak that positively about them when they failed on those last 2 drives. Because, again, you make your money in the fourth quarter. So at the end of the day, what else can I say about this Seahawks defense other than they almost played a good game? They almost played a good game, but they didn't. It's hard for me to say that when they give up the lead twice in the fourth quarter like that. You're playing Sam Howell. You're playing a mediocre offensive line. You're playing a team that is well past their scripted plays at that point. It's the fourth quarter. It's not the first quarter anymore. In the first quarter, okay. They run their scripted plays. They hit some stuff. In that moment, no, that's not how it works. That's not good enough. So, for me personally, I am okay with most of the stuff that happened. Overall, my mood is just kind of like we're okay. We're in the middle. It was a decent game, but I was expecting more coming off what happened last week. I was expecting this team to bounce back violently from what happened last week against the Ravens. This team did not bounce back violently. They bounced back just barely enough to beat a pretty mediocre team. Now, on defense, I do want to give specific players some shout-outs. I thought that Draymond Jones had a nice bounce-back game. Leonard Williams had his first sack as a Seahawk. I think that Devin Witherspoon had another great game. Forced a fumble, had some good plays in coverage, doing his thing out there. He did miss a tackle late. That was big, but overall, he's really good at that kind of stuff, so I'm not going to sit here and act like he's a bad tackler now. So, Woolen played better than he has in a while, in my estimation. I think that Bobby Wagner and Jordan Brooks played all right. Mafe continues to grind. I have positive things to say about a lot of the players, but those last 2 drives are going to stick. All right. Special teams, by the way, we gave up a lot on kick returns. I was not impressed with the kick return coverage. However, I will say this. Jason Myers has worked his way back into good graces. 5 field goals today, including the game winner. What else can you say about Myers other than that he's found the stroke? So that is a relief. And I'm no longer at the point where every time he goes out to kick a field goal, I'm dreading it. I'm still very aware of the fact that he might miss it, but I'm no longer at that point where I'm dreading it. So that's a pretty good place to be. So overall, special teams were decent. And, I mean, Washington had their game negatively impacted by an extra point that they missed, so it could be a lot worse at the end of the day. And that's really all I can say about this game. It is a win. The big picture to me is that I don't think Carroll pushed the right buttons this week, because when you get embarrassed the way you did last week, you need to go push the right buttons with your roster and your coaches to make sure they respond in a big way the next week. And that did not happen. That it was good, just barely good enough. But neither side of the ball was great. Nothing about this team looked great today as a unit. And I'm sitting here kind of feeling like, well, we're good enough to beat these teams. We're good enough to make the playoffs because the NFC is pretty weak. But what about beyond that? I feel like if this team wanted to truly be great, they would have emphatically shown up today, and that did not happen. The good news is we got half the season left. So for the moment, I can say we're 6-3, tied for the lead in the division, tiebreaker behind the division lead. And in this conference, the way it is shaping up, it is almost impossible for us to miss the playoffs. Because pretty much every team that is lingering around for that wild card spot, the 7th seed, is fading. The only team that is making a move of any kind right now seems to be the Vikings. And is that going to last without their quarterback? I don't think so. So, I'm going to go ahead and open it up to the chat now. I want to say we got about 160 people in here right now. Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight to spend part of your evening with me. If you want to help me out, there are many things you can do. Please like the stream if you haven't already. We have 25 likes right now. So just go down and click the thumbs up button. It takes less than a second. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I post several Seahawks videos every day. And I do also weekly Huskies content. And during baseball season, I do Mariners content. I'll do some Sea Dragons content probably. And if you want to be alerted about that as I post it, please do sub. And beyond that, if you want to become a channel member and gain access to some perks, you can become a channel member for $2, $5, or $15 a month by clicking the join button. You can donate via Super Chat by clicking the $ in the chat window, or tip via !tip. If you Super Chat or tip, your message will show up in the chat. And on the screen, on the screen, and it's guaranteed that I will see it. Other than that, I will get to as many comments as I can, but there's no guarantee that I'll be able to get to all of them. It just depends on how quickly they come and the volume and the nature of the inquiries. So, yeah. Also, I have a Patreon. I've recently started posting on Facebook and Twitter more. So, if you want to jump on over to my Facebook or Twitter, click the links in the description. And I think that's about it. So, let's go ahead and open her up here. I was high on the defense until the last 10 minutes of the game. They were really bad in the fourth. And by the way, I know some people are going to try to say this, but I don't believe them getting tired is an excuse this week. This offense did have quite a few drives. This offense they had a couple of bad drives, but they had a lot of good drives where they kept the ball for an extended period of time and were at least able to go score something, at least able to keep the defense on the sideline. And let's not forget, by the way, Washington scored a touchdown on their opening drive of the game. So it's going to be very hard for me to hear any kind of excuse about how, well, our players on defense were tired, so they gave up a bunch of stuff. That does not fly with me in this game at all. So I don't know what happened to that fourth quarter personally, but I get the sense that I get the sense that there was some mistakes being made by Trey Brown, who I'm not saying he had a terrible game, but I do think he made some key mistakes at the end. And things just kind of stem from there. Feed me more Seahawks. Did you see the 6-man blitz on the sack by Leonard Williams? I did. I did. I don't think we ran another one the rest of the game, but that shows you, man. Like, did you guys notice a couple of plays in this game? Did you guys notice a couple of plays where we would blitz Bobby, but he would be so slow and so late and run right into a blocker and have no impact on the play? Like, blitzing Wagner like that does nothing. Like, how is that supposed to get me excited? Like that's just like the doing the bare minimum to say like, see, I did it, but you didn't really do it. Cannot see this talented team beating the Niners this year, sadly. Coaching Dobbs will get Vikings to playoffs. He's a good fit there. I mean, he may, but there's still another playoff spot because it's Cowboys, Vikings, and then another team, which will probably be the Seahawks. Like, who else could it be? The Buccaneers? The Falcons keep losing now, so I think the Falcons are fading. This win in the Browns showed we are good but not great. I didn't think we were a great team this year. I think that's pretty fair. I think that's pretty fair. Boy, Mafe will exceed my preseason prediction of 12 sacks. I think he gets 15. He was all over the place. He just shows up every game now, don't he? Every game you can count on a certain level of competency from Boye Mafe, it feels like. Did you watch Jaden Daniels' game yesterday? Is he on your radar? Yes, Ghost. He's just kind of small. I just look at Jaden Daniels and I'm like, he's going to break in half in the NFL. Had us going 10-7. That may end up being the case. We're going to have to beat one really good team, but that should be a reasonable ask. Even bad teams beat good teams every now and then. And don't get me wrong, we beat the Lions. The Lions are a good team. That's a good win. I'm not saying we never beat good teams. That would be wrong, but you're playing 4 games against good NFC opponents. You got to find a way to win one of them. I love to see Jamal Adams eating turf when he tries to tackle. He plays so amped up, I feel like. He's just playing out of control right now. Quandre and Jamal are overpaid. Yeah, I don't know how much we can do about it. Jamal's contract is mostly guaranteed next year. Diggs, we might be able to move off of. Like, Diggs had an opportunity to make a play on the ball right before the game-tying touchdown with less than a minute left. Could have just ended the game right there, but he didn't do it. And it just seems like he never makes those plays this year. Did Diggs play bad? I don't think Diggs played bad. I just don't think he's doing anything, like, significant. I think he's just there. And Kobe Bryant could probably be out there and be just there. Out of the next few games, which are you most worried about? Well, what is it? Dallas, San Fran, Philly, San Fran. I mean, all those games pose a real problem. Period. Like, we have beaten good teams this year, but we have had issues against the better defenses. We did pretty good against Cleveland. Our offense was pretty good against Cleveland, but then they did what they did against the Ravens, so the Cowboys are going to be tough. My record would be perfect had it not been for that messed up Rams win. Me too, actually. Which, I mean, look, people keep saying, like, oh, the Rams just own us. That's not that big of a deal. The Rams own us. Like, I really don't care. Like, figure out why they own you and then do something about it. That's my philosophy here. Like, I can't be sitting here saying, like, oh, it's okay for us to get boat raced by the Rams because the Rams own us. Like, You got to figure out why. What happened to Kobe Bryant? He's hurt. When is Abe Lucas going to come back? He's coming back to practice this week. Don't know when he's going to get back on the field. So he could play in this Rams game. I think more likely is that he comes back for the game after that. Hopefully Jason Peters is done. Yeah, I mean, Jason Peters, it was a fun story. It was a fun ride. I appreciate him, but I just don't understand what he gives us that's better than what Forsyth gives us, or even Curhan. Like, Curhan was not a terrible player. He's just a very flawed player. I thought Kenny Mack was going to play today. I did too, but DJ felt good enough. And DJ, I mean, he didn't do anything wrong, I guess. Did you see how improved our run blocking was this game? Well, most of the running today was 2 yards in a cloud of dust. Charbonnet was able to get some stuff going late, but overall, I didn't think our running game was that good. Geno Smith has an opportunity this next month to shut a lot of people up, including me. I mean, look, I still don't really know how to feel. He did a great job in the second half. He led us on two game-winning drives in this game. The game-winning go-ahead touchdown and the game-winning field goal drive. And I still am like, I don't know what to think right now. I got to admit, what he did at the end of the half is a problem. A big problem. Curran isn't strong enough to play right tackle, and Stone feed Forsyth can't get leverage. We need to replace both of them. Curhan is fine for a backup, though. And Forsyth's playing out of position. Forsyth needs to be a left tackle. Jarek Reed II, you like his work this year? He's been great on special teams, yeah. Deep appreciation for him. With the Hawks picking around 18 to 24, what quarterback do you think would be available there? That might be like Penix or Quinn Ewers territory, depending on how this season ends. I don't really want to take a quarterback in the first, though. I think you can do better picking a little bit later. Like, I have real questions with both those guys, Ewers and Penix. To me, both those guys are good, but I don't know if they're first round good. They have to be first round good almost in this draft, I feel like, when I made them my big board, but I'm not convinced. Whereas I can get Joe Milton in the 5th round, develop him for a year, and I feel like I'm cooking. I've got one of the most talented quarterbacks in the league. Roy Froelich, thank you for the $4.99 Canadian. Is it just me or did our tackling stink? I think it got worse as the game went on. Okay, there we go. Like, I think the tackling was fine initially, and then it just kept getting worse and worse. Why are the balls coming out weird from Geno these days? He had one that looked like it came out weird, but after rewatching the play, I gotta admit, I think that was actually a Noah Fant problem. Again, I wasn't... I mean, he did miss some throws. Like, there was the one throw to Metcalf that was behind him. There were a few bad throws. I don't really stress on that stuff too much. I just need him to not give away points the way that he did at the end of the half. That set me off. Ghost, thank you for the $1.99. Geno looked like Purdy today. A lot of good yards after the catch. Yeah, and you know that a lot of people this week are going to say Geno didn't have a good game because of all the yards after the catch we had. When those people start talking, you need to stop listening to them. It is a quarterback's job to get the ball to his playmakers in a position for them to get yards after the catch. So, understand that people are going to say that, and you need to not listen to those people. And Stout, thank you for the $1.99. Why is our offense so bad on 3rd down? I think it's just, more than anything, I think the offensive line is the main reason. Overall, today, I don't think it was the offensive line, though. I'll say that, but overall, it's the offensive line. I think you're overblowing the last play of the half. That's partially on Waldron scheming awful routes. His route combos are awful. Okay, but Gino needs to understand to throw the ball away there so they can kick a field goal. Or take off and run for a few yards instead of just waiting in the pocket for as long as he did. Do you like this pass-first offense? I do, generally speaking. I think we got to pull it back a little bit because it's not working well enough, but generally speaking, I think this team does need to be pass-first. Woolen had a nice bounce-back game. Yeah, Woolen probably played his best game of the year. He recovered the fumble, too. So I'm happy with Woolen right now. There was the one play where he blew the tackle. He was trying to tackle a tight end, and it went really badly. Yeah, Clark, I think he just is what he is. And I'm not surprised, and I'm not upset about it. When we signed Clark, I was like, okay, that's cool, but what does he have left? I didn't think he had that much left, and it doesn't look like he does. Sorry. Well, the thing about Parkinson in that game, that one catch he had, he caught the ball, and then he did like a step back. Like he's Jamal Crawford doing a step back jumper. It's like, dude, go forward. You have like 30 pounds on the defensive back who's trying to tackle you. Just go forward and get the first down. Instead, he does a step back, loses all his momentum, and he doesn't get the first down. Like, that was a huge play for me. That really annoyed me because Colby Parkinson was way bigger than the guy that tackled him, and his step back destroyed his momentum. That annoyed me. Yeah, I saw that too, David. I saw that. I'm still wondering who they meant to call that one on. Yeah, I think Frank Clark is a beloved player for most Seahawks fans, and they were really excited to get him back, but the reality is he's just a guy at this point. Maybe you get to the playoffs and he has some juice because he's always been a big playoff performer, but until then. Like, even if it was a linebacker who tackled Parkinson there, if Parkinson just goes forward, he gets that first down. He's like doing a hop step, Jamal Crawford, weirdo shit. Like, that annoyed me. Like, you got to get the first there. But anyway, it all worked out in a manner of speaking. My main hang up is it really feels like teams know what's coming. Teams know what we're running before we run it, and I don't see this happening with other teams. I'm trying to figure it out. It's hard to really know who to blame or if it's just really bad luck, but like it's 3rd and 3 and we run a little dump to the flats to Fant. I see other teams run that. It's constantly wide open for an easy 5 yards. And for us, the defense is all over it. Yeah, DK was clutch. DK was clutch. Nothing else you can say. Almost no pre-snap motion, and I saw another empty set on 3rd and short. I saw a decent amount of pre-snap motion, honestly. I'm not angry about the pre-snap stuff so much in this game. And don't get me wrong, I do think Waldron did better, but I'm still trying to figure out where the rest of the offense went. Well, new blocks, that's the question. Is nobody open, or is he just not seeing the guy who is open? I don't know. The broadcast doesn't show us. You have to watch all 22 stuff. Is somebody actually open, or is he just staring at a big wall of players? I I think Woolen did better today, but how do you feel about him overall? He's trending in the right direction, and I've said it many times. Woolen had surgery in the offseason. It's not a shock that he's not 100% right now. It's not the biggest surprise in the world that he's struggling, so I'm not here to drill him for that. You overreact about Geno on Twitter at the end of the second half? No, I didn't. That was really, really bad. Geno is not a good enough quarterback to get away with that stuff. He needs to at least be a smart quarterback. I did not overreact. I reacted appropriately for that moment. And that is a bad Washington defense, by the way. So, no, that first half, I don't feel bad about what I said. Because at the time it was true. But things have changed. That's how it works. Yeah, Woolen missed like the entire training camp too. Yeah, exactly. Now, so did Witherspoon, but Witherspoon's always been a really great tackler. How you doing? I'm doing pretty good, Carmine. Twitch tonight? I think so, Drop Top. I'm not... I think I'm doing more Starfield, but I'm not sure. I really want to finish Starfield. Move on to other stuff. Geno had a horrible throw to Zach third down and we had to punt. No, that wasn't a punt. That was a field goal. I'll tell you, though, Zach was not going to get that first down. He had two defenders ready to gang tackle him. Right there. He was not getting that first down. And that's another instance where I'm looking at it like, they just know what we're going to run, don't we? They just know what's coming. Being too negative to think we're still fraudulent. I mean, we're obviously not a great team, but I think most people know that right now. We're a team that is good. We're a team that is almost certainly making the playoffs. But there's a gap between us and the best teams. And look, big picture, I think that we need to be okay with that. I do. I think we need to understand that this is year 2 of a new era. And think about where the Seahawks were when Pete Carroll first got here and they started a new era. They spent those first 2 years going 7-9. This is a lot better than that. Not even close. Why don't we run more play action? It works great for us. Geno really likes being in the gun, or Waldron really likes him in the gun. But I don't know why we don't get under center way more. And let me tell you something about DK. I really think that if we ran the comeback route with DK 20 times, he'd catch like 19 of them, and the other team wouldn't be able to do anything about it. That play where DK just runs like a 9 route, where he's just like running straight down the field, and then he just turns around and comes back, like that's unstoppable. Because you have to respect his speed. You can't play tight on him. You can't play aggressively there because you have to respect his deep speed. And then he turns around and comes back. You don't have time to recover. Like, how are you ever going to stop that? It's almost impossible. I would almost run that play 20 times a game. I expected our receivers to be more open than they were against this bottom of the barrel pass defense. Yeah, and that kind of goes back to, like, where's the scheming stuff open like last year? I saw some of that stuff last year. I'm not seeing a lot of it right now. He's also really good at running slants and posts. Like, remember the third down conversion against the Lions in overtime that Metcalf had? Remember that one? Like, do more of that. Yeah, like, there was this one play, I can't remember when it was, where I think Washington sent a 7-man blitz, and Geno had to throw it away immediately. If he had another quarter second, I think it was a free touchdown. I think they left somebody wide open to send the blitz. And if Geno just got a quarter second more, I think there's a free touchdown on that play, but he just had to immediately throw it out. I can't remember when it was, though. Yeah, I think it was JSN Ghost. Yeah, and it's like that's an easy touchdown, but Gino got pressured immediately. Or was it Bobo? I think maybe it was both. Maybe both guys were wide open. I don't know, but that bummed me out because that was a free touchdown. I think it was JSN. I'm not sure, but I think it was JSN. He had like a walk-in touchdown, and Gino just had to immediately throw it out because the 7-man blitz got home. I do feel like we don't have blitz beaters. Like other teams send these monster blitzes at us, and Gino can't really do anything except panic. Like on that last drive, we ran a blitz beater to Metcalf, where it was 3rd down and short. They sent a pretty big blitz. We just threw the laser slant to DK, and it's kind of unstoppable. The only thing that can stop it is if DK drops it. So I wish we would do stuff like that more, where we would see the blitz coming, because obviously Gino's able to identify that kind of stuff, and then he just lasers it. Like there should be a guy open when you're blitzing that many people. Do you think Stafford will be healthy next week? Probably not if they're signing Carson Wentz, right? They must be aware of the risk, at the least. Maybe he'll play, but it doesn't seem like they have a ton of confidence that he's actually healthy. Oh, big return. Vegas. Can we talk about that play at the end of the first half? I mean, we already did, Wes. I mean, I kind of feel the same way about it that I do about the Huskies linebacker dropping the ball at the 2-yard line on the interception. It's just like, I don't know what to say. If you could gift Gino any specific skill to be great at, what would it be? I mean, I don't think his issues are a matter of skill. Yeah, I don't know why Waldron's regressed so much from last year. I really don't. It's really confusing to me. I mean, I was looking at some of the PFF's charts last week, and our receivers are not doing a very good job getting open. Hard for me to believe our receivers are bad. Like, our receivers are supposed to be some of the best in the league. We have great receivers. So if they're not getting open, I don't really think it makes sense to blame them. Should we start Bradford over Haynes? Well, Bradford needs to get healthy, but I think I probably would. If he gets healthy, I think I probably would. Yeah, the Commanders have good cornerbacks, but their defense has been awful this year overall. How long are you planning on streaming right now on YouTube? Until this game ends. When this game ends, I'm going to go off, take care of some business, and then go live on Twitch. Probably doing Starfield, but I'm not sure yet. I didn't think he was that great last year. We scored well, but his schemes and play calling wasn't top tier. I mean, maybe not, but he's ultimately the steward of everything that happens on the offense, right? And these are all his guys now. Like, who has Waldron inherited from Schottenheimer that we still have? Lockett, Metcalf, and both those guys have been extended since Waldron got here, so he could have just said, I don't want that guy. But everybody on this offense is someone that Waldron either picked or chose to keep. I guess not DJ Dallas, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, I didn't really blame Waldron for anything that first year because it wasn't his team. He inherited a bunch of pieces from Schottenheimer. But this year, almost everything on this offense is his. And the stuff that isn't is stuff that he still signed off on keeping. Why was Schottenheimer bad? I mean, he wasn't bad. I don't really think Schottenheimer was that bad. I think he did the best that he could with a very limited quarterback. And I think that Schottenheimer was kind of scapegoat for Wilson's failures more than anything. And I mean, it's taking like the genius of Sean Payton to get Wilson back on track. There are only a couple Sean Paytons out there. So I think he was just put in a rough situation. But it's not like Schottenheimer's great, obviously, but he was kind of a scapegoat. I can admit that now. Ready for Grand Theft Auto 6? Well, it's going to be a long time. I mean, I'm pretty sure we're going to get Mission Impossible 8 before we get Grand Theft Auto 6, so there's no point in me waiting. Yeah, Maffei is so... the thing about Maffei is how consistent he is. Do you have any faith in Geno to make the Super Bowl, like even a minimal amount of hope? I mean, I think that he has the same chance of getting to the Super Bowl that somebody like, I mean, honestly, I think Geno's probably better than Brock Purdy. And Brock Purdy almost made the Super Bowl last year, and he's got a chance to do it this year. So I think I have a really good idea of what Geno Smith is. I think I'm pretty sure of what Geno Smith is, and I'm at peace with that. Some people aren't, but I am. You get out what you put in with Geno Smith, right? With Geno Smith, you give him good stuff, he produces good stuff. You give him bad stuff, he produces bad stuff. That's all it is. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as you're not overpaying him, which we're not. And bottom line is this. We know for a fact, whether or not people want to admit it, this can work with Geno because it worked with him last year. He had a really good season last year. It wasn't just a few games. It was a good all-around season. There were some bad games, but collectively he played incredibly well. So we know for a fact that it can work. So even if things aren't going that well right now, which they're not, our offense is slightly above average collectively, why would I go to something that I have no idea if there's any chance of it working, like Drew Lock, which is, I know people are going to talk about Drew Lock still, because everyone talks about the backup quarterback on a team that isn't undefeated. And with that being the case, I mean, think about it like that. Think about it like that. We know it can work with Geno. Maybe it's not working right now, but what is more likely? Geno Smith gets back to what was working last year, which we saw, which we know happened? Or do you want to go to Drew Lock, who has never been good ever, and we're just kind of hoping? Like, that's the thing that I don't understand about it. We know it can work with Geno. Geno plays good when he's about to write back. That doesn't mean he's immune to criticism. But one thing that I really do not like about discourse right now in sports is that it's always this thing where if you criticize a player, it must mean you want him benched or cut or whatever. Also, think about this. If Drew Lock was good, why didn't he follow Canales to Tampa? Why did Canales not pound the table for Drew Lock in Tampa? Why did they pick Baker Mayfield instead? Can you honestly say after that first half you didn't want to see Lock? It's not like they can't go back to Geno if Lock is terrible. Ask Lamar Odom about that. That's I don't think that's correct, Patrick. Ask Lamar Odom. Opinions of Spencer Rattler? I'm intrigued, but ultimately it's unlikely to work out, right? There are too many obstacles for Spencer Rattler to be good in the NFL. Third downs are a crazy weak point. I don't know what the play calls all. Let the running back leak out or run a slant over the middle of the field to DK. It feels like we're trying to be sporting. Like, we don't want to run the same play over and over and over again because, like, oh, that's cheese. It's not. Like, we don't want to cheese these other teams, it feels like sometimes, so we don't want to run the same play over and over. It's like, imagine if the Eagles decided they're not going to do the brotherly shove anymore because it works too well. Because it's, oh, that's unfair. No. Should we start using more screens? I don't know if you need more screens. We just need to run good screens. We need to sell the farm for Penix. I don't know, man. I like Penix, but you're going to have such a good offensive line. Like, our offensive line would get Penix killed immediately. You'd really have to build it up. Tariq Island, thank you for the $4.99. Third down plays are always a deep shot to Lockett or DK or a screen to JSN. Third and short, we take a deep shot to DK instead of getting 5 yards. Yeah. I do think our third down play calling is indicative of a team that doesn't really trust the offensive line. But I still think you can do better. Man, how did Sauce get away with that one? Don't answer that question. Do you think Forbes getting ejected was fair? No, not really. Also, Emmanuel Forbes sucks, so him getting ejected made the Commanders better. I'm just going to say that right now. Like, legitimately, if he stays in that game, I think we win by more. He sucks. Yeah, well, I mean, they wanted to put the Jets on primetime TV a lot, and they forgot they're the Jets. We're going to find out, Tariq Island, because, look, I'm just going to say it. Views on my videos this week, or last week, were way down. And I think it's because we got killed so bad, people check out a little bit. They're like, I don't care about this team anymore. We lost to the Ravens by 5 touchdowns. I just want to turn it off and not think about it. I do think that people kind of checked out after last week. And I don't think what happened today is going to get those guys to buy back in. Like, this is just kind of a game that people are going to say we weren't really much better than we were against the Ravens. I disagree, but people are going to say that game doesn't really prove we're back. But I did notice people were not watching my videos very much this week compared to usual. I think because people were like, I'm over this. I'm sick of this crap. And I just want to tune out this team until we get new coaches, et cetera, which, I mean, I kind of get it. Six and 3 and people checking out on us. Well, the thing is, I mean, my point is that it's all these years, year after year after year, where the team is good, but it's never great. I think they're ready for something great. I think they feel like they've been waiting 10 years for a great team, and it's not happening this year. And they're like, well, if it's not happening this year, then. And obviously, I'm not checking out. I'm not going anywhere. Keaton Slovis was a guy I watched a little bit last year, Isaac Hyatt, but I don't know. I haven't been aware of him at all this year. Why is Jamal Adams always missing the sack on his blitz? He's playing out of control, man. That's what I can say about that. Brandon, thank you for the member message. 18 months. What are the chances of us taking a QB round 1? I kind of feel like there won't be the right QB there for us to take unless Ewers is there, because apparently Schneider really likes Quinn Ewers. So I could see us taking him in round 1. But more likely, I think we take a third round quarterback. There are going to be some really nice quarterbacks in that area, I think. We can be a great team in near future. This is honestly way more fun than the 18 to 21 Russ years. We'll find out. Why does John like Ewers? A couple different reasons, but it's known that he likes him a lot. John usually likes prototype type quarterbacks, like guys with all the tools, and Ewers is pretty toolsy, I guess. He definitely doesn't have the arm of Josh Allen. When the Seahawks score 0 points or very few points, count on me not watch any videos of it. I mean, I get it. Don't get me wrong. I get it. But my point is, I don't think winning this week is going to make those people buy back in. I think they're still like, whatever. Wake me up when we have a new coach. So I'm interested to see how this week goes. Where do you think Knicks will go? I have no idea where Knicks goes. I have a hard time with Knicks. Yeah, I think that I really do, and you guys know I don't like Carroll that much, and I've advocated for him to go many times. I'm not a big Carroll guy, and I'm not really a fan of the job he did over this week. Like I even said that in my post-game video, but I think that people need to understand that when you choose to keep him after you trade Wilson, you have to stick with him for a little while. You can't let him start the rebuild and then pull the rug out from under him. And then say, okay, you are starting this new era of Seahawks football. You've overachieved dramatically, way better than most people expected. And you've had 2 really nice drafts, but you're still getting fired because the team isn't a Super Bowl contender yet. Like that doesn't really make sense. Have you noticed Charbonnet dances too much after he hits the hole? I don't think so, Derek. I don't see it that way. Like, I maintain my belief, and people ask me about this sometimes. Do you regret saying we should fire Carroll? No, because at the time he should have been fired, but you chose to keep him. And once you choose to keep him, I think you then have to say we're going to give you a few years. I don't think you can pull the rug out from under him because the team isn't immediately a Super Bowl contender. Like, if you were going to fire him that quickly, you should have fired him before the rebuild started. You should have fired him when you traded Russ. Curl routes with DK are a cheat code. Everyone respects his deep ball and plays 6 steps off. Exactly. Like, I don't know why we don't use that more. It seems like it would be really easy. There's some stuff this offense can do that just is really hard to stop. Carroll will be here until his contract is up after 2025 season, I think, right? I mean, he probably is going to be here until there's a new owner. Because the new owner is going to come in and probably say, I want my guy. Like, the new owner is going to come in and say, look, I know that you were great here. I know you did a lot of great things, but I want my guy. I want somebody who's going to be identified with me. And even though I recognize we could get somebody way worse than you, I want to go out my way. Do you think they should use DK on slants more? It seemed to work today. Yeah, I would definitely run more of those kinds of routes with DK. Make things more complicated for him. Use him in more convoluted ways. It works. I mean, he's not a bad route runner anymore. He was, but he's a better route runner now than he was before. There was one run today where Sharps already had about 5 to 6 yards, but had a hole up the middle and instead ran towards the defender. I missed that one. It does happen, though. It definitely does happen. Sometimes you just guess wrong, I guess. Well, the bottom line is most of the coaches that make deep playoff runs and Super Bowl runs are offensive coaches these days. When is the last time a head coach that is a defensive minded coach made the Super Bowl? Can anybody answer that? The answer is Bill Belichick in 2018. Since then, it's been Sean McVay, Andy Reid, Kyle Shanahan. What's the name of the dude who looks like a tomato? Bruce Arians, Zach Taylor. Like, these are all offensive-minded coaches who are making the Super Bowl now. No, Arians is a quarterback guy. Ooh, big hole. Big hole Josh Jacobs. Oh, no, fumble. Out of bounds. Baltimore's a defensive team, but what is John Harbaugh? John Harbaugh is a special teams coach. The Eagles coach is a defensive coach, Sirianni. Is that true? Hold on. What is Sirianni's coaching tree? Where did he come from? No, he's an offensive coach. He was the offensive coordinator for Indy, wide receiver coach for the Chargers, quarterback coach for the Chargers. No, Sirianni is an offensive coach. I just looked it up. Yeah, he's from the Frank Reich tree. Harbaugh's a special teams coach. That's where he started. He was the special teams coach for Philly, I think. Pete is really good until the game starts. I mean, you say that, Austin, but I gotta admit, I gotta acknowledge, today I kind of felt like he didn't do a very good job during the week because the team should have been a little more amped up to respond to what happened last week. Sirianni, first time coaching. Yeah, but that was a long time ago. He's been an offensive coach for years since then. He was an offensive coordinator under Frank Reich before he got the Philly job. That is definitely an offensive coach first. Who are potential people who would buy the Seahawks? I mean, everyone always says Bezos. What do you make of the penalty issue this season? We usually have a lot of penalties. That's just part and parcel of being coached by Pete Carroll. He's okay with some penalties as long as you're making up for it in other ways. And most of the time we do. Opinion on Leonard Williams so far? I think he's been pretty good. I think he's been fine. No issues. And he allows Draymond Jones to play on the edge, which I actually kind of like and think that's a better solution maybe than Frank Clark. Who would you want to see first round of the playoffs if the season ended today? I mean, probably the Saints, right? The Saints don't even look good, and their Derek Carr might not even be there anymore. It might be a situation where it's Jameis Winston. Favorite quarterback fit for Seattle in this draft? Probably Joe Milton. I'm going to stand by that. I'm going to continue to live on that hill. Would be very cheap. Jameis Winston is not a dink and dunker. Jameis Winston is a guy who will turn the ball over like 3 times a game. Who would you replace Carroll with? I mean, odds are the right choice is somebody I'm not even aware of the existence of. Like, go find another Kevin O'Connell. They're all over the place, those guys. Shadur Sanders is not going to be in this draft, I don't think. He's already said he's coming back for the next year, which he should. He might be the #1 overall pick in 2024 or 2025. How would you feel if we drafted Penix if he fell to us? That would be hard for me, John. I got to be honest. I would be pretty concerned that our offensive line would get him murdered. How did you feel when Adams missed a sack on the opening drive? I mean, what do you think? Yeah, that Cardinals win was big, David. I was keeping an eye on that in the background. That was actually big. What's been your favorite play this year for the season? Probably the Witherspoon interception. Hey, Michael. How you doing? Man, I feel like Phil Haynes has been horrible. He's slipped pretty badly the last couple games. I'm getting, Whoa, what a catch. Well, I think we're probably going to draft a quarterback in this upcoming draft. I don't know where, and I don't know when, and I don't know who. But I expect us to draft somebody at some point. Do you know what's been wrong with Bradford? He's hurt. I don't know exactly what it is. I think it's a knee, right? Maybe it's a hamstring. But, I mean, he can't play. No, the Cardinals, I don't think, are going to revive their season. The thing you guys need to understand is that Dobbs was playing pretty good, and they were still losing. So it's not like quarterback play was the problem. It's not like Kyler Murray's going to go in there and be amazing and so much better than what they were getting from Dobbs. Dobbs is a pretty decent quarterback. I think he's kind of proven that in Minnesota now, too. Yeah, if the Cardinals win every game they play the rest of the year except for the game they play us, I would actually be really happy about that. I'm going to say we find a way to beat the Niners once, but admittedly, I don't feel great about saying that. Who is the worst player on the Seahawks in your opinion? I mean, it would probably be somebody like Ben Brown, right? It would probably be somebody like Lance Boykin, but I mean, it's not even like derogatory. You need players like that on your team in some areas, guys who are just kind of fringe roster guys. I don't know. DJ Dallas actually has a pretty important role on this team that I have some respect for. I mean, honestly, I feel like what's going on with Josh Dobbs right now should be a pretty good lesson in how coaching and scheme matters, right? Because Kirk Cousins was supposed to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He gets hurt. Dobbs goes in. He doesn't even have his top receivers, and he still looks really good. And it's like, oh, maybe Kirk Cousins wasn't that good. No, no, they were being put in really good situations. And you can win with lesser quarterbacks when you put them in the right situations. Well, yeah, Matthew, I think he would just demand to get traded. He would be like, I'm not playing. By the way, guys, we're up to 60 likes right now, so thank you everybody for that. If you haven't liked, please click the thumbs up button. It's always appreciated. Oh, big play by the Jets. What's your evaluation of the draft of this year compared to last year? This one's a little bit better. Although there aren't that many pure first rounders. The top of the draft is so good. Like Marvin Harrison Jr. is one of the best receivers of the last 20 years. I think Brock Bowers is the best tight end prospect ever. And Caleb is generational or borderline generational. And we've also got really good tackles. How'd you feel about a draft featuring Jaden Daniels and Malik Nabirs? I don't think we're going to be able to take Malik Nabirs or Naburs or whatever his name is because he's going to go too high, and we can't spend that high of a pick on a receiver. Have you noticed the blocking schemes change with Charbonnet in the game? Instead of K9, they run zone. Charbonnet in the game, they run power. Long story short, this line blocks better in a power scheme. Man, that is troubling if that's true. Because we spent all this time and effort trying to build an offensive line that could run zone. And, I mean, obviously it's going to help when we get Damian Lewis the hell out of here after the season, right? We can get D-Lou out of here, and that'll help. Oh my God, Garrett Wilson. Who would you pick in the first round if it isn't a quarterback? I'll tell you, I really like Cooper Bebe or Graham Barton. Replace Damian Lewis with a day one starter at left guard, a franchise left guard. Build up this offensive line. Get 3 blue chippers out there. And then you roll with Oluwatimi and Brown, and you hope it's good enough. Wes Hyatt, I don't know what you're talking about exactly. I may have seen it. You got to give me more context. There's whispers about Caleb's character. I know, I don't care. He's way too good. His character is not anywhere near bad enough to justify passing up on a generational quarterback talent. Do you feel like Justin Herbert is wasting his talent in LA? I really wish we had him so bad. I mean, he's talented. He's definitely talented. I don't know if that makes him like... I don't know how much he's wasting it. He's got good players. He's got good teammates out there. Thoughts about keeping Brooks at the end of the year? I don't think we're going to be able to afford it. I don't think we're going to be able to afford keeping him. He's going to cost more money than a lot of people think, I think. He might pull very close to like Roquan Smith money. I think people will be surprised at how similar his contract ends up looking to Roquan Smith. He said our defense isn't scary or whatever, and we just rely on our best players. I mean, I guess I can see why he says that. We're not very deceptive. I think JS trades down this year, especially without a second rounder. I think that they've learned to just go with their board. If there's a player they think is worth the pick, when the pick comes up, they make it, and if not, then they don't. I think that they've learned their lesson. Field goal's good. Do you think he's played up to the level of Roquan Smith? This year, I think he's been pretty much on that level, or very close. But overall, of course not. But it doesn't matter. Somebody will be willing to give him that. There are teams out there that have way too much cap space and would just feel like, well, we got all this money, we may as well overpay somebody. That's how this usually works. Well, yeah, Brooks is never going to be great in coverage. He's always going to have some games where he just gets beat up in coverage, and this was not different. Both of our guards are free agents next year, so it should be pretty doable. Have you noticed his pass defense is better when Wagner blitzes? It takes him out of coverage. Well, yeah. I will say, though, some of those blitzes are not effective. But yeah, Wagner's not good in coverage. We have to be very creative when working around Wagner's limitations. But we've been doing it better this year than we have before. You said our defense won't cause any confusion. They'll try to beat us with their best. Do you think we need to start confusing the offense? I mean, yeah, we're one of the bottom tier teams in the league at doing that. So, of course, you got to do better. I don't think it's a good idea to be the worst in the league at anything or bottom in the league in anything, unless it's missed tackle rate or something like that, or drops. You think Wagner is washed? Why would I think that? Where did that come from? Bush is a backup. He doesn't play very much. Yeah, Bobby had 10 tackles today, half a sack, 2 passes defensed, and a quarterback hit. Like, I don't know why I'm supposed to think he's washed up today. Maybe 2 years ago. Evan Brown is also a free agent. I would sign him. He might want way more money though, because he's playing well this year. I doubt it, Hunter. I don't think they want to move anybody down until they lose, which may take a while. I'm very annoyed, but it is what it is. I don't think UW is getting pushed up in the top 4 until the Ohio State-Michigan game. Although I do wonder if they ever punish Michigan for the cheating scandal. Teddy G, thank you for the $1.99. I was a huge Geno supporter, but this last month... You know, I gotta say, I do not understand some of the points of criticism. Like, I get some of them, even though I don't totally agree with them. But, like, Geno Smith has led 2 game-winning drives in the last 3 games he's played. And he honestly played well against the Cardinals. He did. You go back and look at that Cardinals game, he played well. That game was not really ever in any kind of doubt. He had the one really bad throw in the red zone. Other than that, he actually played quite well. Like, I don't understand what people are seeing here. I gotta be honest. Like, he had 2 game-winning drives in this game alone. He had a game-winning drive against the Browns and the Lions. I'm pretty sure Geno leads the league in fourth quarter comebacks, despite playing behind an offensive line that has been in complete shambles most of the year. I know it's not now, but most of the year it has been. Come on, Jets. Make this a game. Make me care. Trey Brown has been way better than Woolen this year. Overall, yeah, probably. Woolen has not been that good this year. I think Woolen might be finally coming into form, though, so we'll see where this goes. Woolen did play better today. Didn't Mafe also break a record? He broke a franchise record, I think. Remember when we cut Bobby because it saved us $10 million, yet we have no problem with him making $7 million 2 years later? It was way more than $10 million. You streaming tonight? I think so, Feed Me More. I plan on it. Feelings about Barrett Carter for the Hawks first round? Someone to learn under Wagner? I don't feel like Barrett Carter's a first rounder. I think he's a second rounder. Do you think Metcalf is doing better with his emotions? I mean, there hasn't been a problem, has there? Odds that Mafe breaks the NFL record for consecutive sacks. How many more does he need? Yeah, Woolen's getting better. And overall, I'm not that worried about Woolen. Like, I'm, of course, disappointed, but I understand what's going on here, I think. And I'm willing to wait it out. It's not the end of the world. What do you like about Joe Milton fitting in with Seattle? He's super toolsy. He's got a cannon arm. He's got great mobility, great agility. He's got, like, that combination of arm talent and mobility is rare. Which touchdown made you more excited, Lockett or K9? Probably K9. That was something you just don't see every day. To your point on teams knowing what we're doing, they sniffed that Disley screen out. Yeah, there was another K9 screen that they sniffed out. Geno threw it, and a defensive tackle got his hands on it. And the other thing with Milton is he definitely needs to be developed. So the plan is you have Geno play the rest of this year. You go into next year, Geno's your starter, Milton's your backup. Milton gets to sit for most of the year. And if Geno starts to play really bad later in the season, you go to Milton. But if Geno continues to at least play effectively, you just let Milton sit for that year, develop, and then year 2, you can move off of Geno easily, and then Joe Milton's the guy. It's a perfect setup for one of these young developmental quarterbacks. How can we utilize Zach? I think we utilized him pretty well today. He had a good game. How many interceptions do you think Witherspoon will end up with, and do you think he'll get another touchdown this year? That's really hard to predict, Derek. I don't know. That's really hard to take a shot at. If you draft Milton next year, you're basically forfeiting the next year, yet you make... No. You keep Geno. Or, I guess you keep Locke and let Geno go. You don't start Milton immediately. You just sit Milton for a year. It's like when the Chiefs drafted Mahomes. Thoughts on JSN starting to really heat up? I mean, he played okay today. I'm not crazy excited about it. Finally used DK in a screen. Yeah, an effective screen, too. It got the first down. Raiders get the first. What improvements do we need to make to beat the Cowboys in Dallas? I just want to see smarter play calling. I want to see some wrinkles in this offensive game plan. Well, yeah, Mario, CJ Stroud was a blue chipper. Joe Milton is not a blue chipper. If you start Joe Milton immediately, it's probably going to be really bad. He's not ready. He's not going to be ready. He's honestly not even really a good quarterback right now. He's just really talented. Oh, fumble! What do you think of Bryce Young? I don't get it. I don't like him that much. I don't see it. Does his age concern you? Not really. He's a quarterback. He's not a running back. Did that ball come out? His knee's down. Does Milton have accuracy issues? I mean, I guess. If we would have taken Stroud, I don't know. I don't know what Pete and John thought of Stroud. Like, we know because we heard all about it for, post-draft talk constantly, that John loved Mahomes and Josh Allen, and I think Baker Mayfield, but I didn't hear that about Stroud. Thoughts on Mason Smith? Really disappointing. They probably would have taken Will Anderson. That's kind of how I feel. I kind of feel like if they could have taken Will Anderson, they would have. I got to be honest, though. Will Anderson's been really good. I think I'd rather have Witherspoon. Jets have it? Wait, did the Raiders almost fumble on back-to-back plays and then actually fumble? What's the point of developing a quarterback that'll already be 24 by the time he's drafted? It doesn't really matter about his age that much. What matters is that you're able to get 5 to 10 years out of him. And he's not so old that you can't do that. He's not Brandon Whedon. Yeah, if you got Penix, you could start him day one. You can't trade Jamal Adams. Nobody's going to trade for Jamal Adams. I think you're stuck with him this year and next year, and then you can get rid of him. Y2K, thank you for the $2. I'm Sam Howell, just actually good. I mean, he's good in some areas, but he turns the ball over a ton, and he gets sacked a ton, so I don't think he's good overall. But there are some things about him that are good, sure. That Washington offense is pretty decent this year. Is Sam Howell just actually good? Yeah, okay, I figured. But thank you for the $2, Y2K. Why not sit Penix if you draft him? Same logic applies. Because Penix has been playing for a lot longer. Penix has 2 really good years in college. Penix is ready to play in the NFL now, as ready as he'll ever be. Milton I don't think so. Milton hasn't played that much, and what he's played has been very up and down. We will be worse next year because we will lose so many players. I mean, who are we losing? Shalamov. Who do you think we're losing? Will JSN be a Lockett replacement if he retired next year? I mean, naturally, yeah. I don't think Lockett's retiring this year, though. He certainly doesn't need to. He's still really good. Would you extend Wagner after this year or go younger? I probably would. I don't think Bobby's going to want a bunch of money. Hypothetically, what do you think about getting rid of Pete and hiring Eric Bieniemy as our coach? Bieniemy's never going to become a head coach. He has a scarlet letter. He's never going to get a head coaching shot. It feels like he's got the scarlet letter. Oh, Drop Top, you got no idea how mad I would be if we lost that game because of that garbage. Eskridge was a healthy scratch, yes. What were your thoughts about the trade rumors? I don't think there were trade rumors. I think that some people talked about trading DK Metcalf with no reason to believe it was even a remote possibility because they wanted to talk about something that was never going to happen. Jake Bobo plays a decent amount, but Bobo's main value is as a run blocker, so he's not going to get the ball thrown his way a ton. Did you think the ending to the game today was the same feeling as the one against the Redskins in 2017? Kind of. I mean, we lost that game. Cam J, we can move off Diggs. Can't really move off Adams, at least not easily. Do you think Boye Mafe is the best edge rusher of the 2022 class? Hutchinson's got to be better, right? Washi, I think he has the reputation of being a clip holder for Andy Reid. And also, I think he has an aggravated assault charge. I think he was convicted of aggravated assault or something. So I don't think that teams are excited to put him as their head coach. There's some stuff there. Rippin was probably signed to give some intel on the Rams. It gave them something to think about during their bye week. Yeah, I think that's the only reason why doing something like that makes any sense. I can't think of any other reason why you would suddenly decide, hey, we need a third quarterback. I actually really liked Zach Wilson coming out, Mason. I really liked Zach Wilson. I thought that his combination of mobility and arm strength would be really good in the NFL. I really loved his combine tape, but he's too small. Would you still want Carter over Spoon? No. I'm happy with the way things turned out. Do you think DK can still hit 1K this season? Oh, easily, but I don't really care. I want to win games. Do you think Seattle needs to go for it on fourth down more than we do? I think we do pretty close to the right amount. Like when we were going to go for it on fourth in this game, and then we didn't, and we committed a penalty and we kicked a field goal. Like, I don't think we were ever planning on hiking that ball anyway, personally. We were just trying to draw them off sides. And I wish we had gone for it there, kind of, but I also understand that we don't have a lot of faith in the offense right now. Sorry, not Combine. Pro Day. Not Combine, excuse me, with Zach Wilson. I mean Pro Day. Do you think we are going to get robbed with Witherspoon for Defensive Rookie of the Year? I don't really care. Feed me more. I don't really care that much. But probably, I guess. Only thing I really care about right now is that we have a really, really good cornerback, cornerstone of the franchise for the next several years, minimum. What is your opinion on the defense as a whole this year compared to last year? It's slightly better. And I do mean slightly. I would go for it on a fourth down only if we're between the 30 to 40 yard line of the opponents. Yeah. I mean, I think to a certain extent you do have to trust your offense to be able to do it. And right now we probably just don't. Do you think Witherspoon is too small for the long run? I mean, it's possible. Antoine Winfield Jr. played forever. Are you talking about Arnold Ebiketie? I've heard he's okay. I think just the offense needs to start playing better so the coaches have faith in them to go for it on fourth down. It's that simple. Gino still looks like his confidence isn't what it was last year. He didn't look. He looked unsure of himself in that first half. The second half was a lot better. Um, I do think he's seen ghosts a little bit. But at the same time, I understand there are some extenuating circumstances this year. So, I don't know. There are things I'm trying to fix with this team beyond just the obvious. Would you, Derek? Don't waste my time with that. Don't waste my time with silly questions. Come on, life's too short. 3 minutes left in this game, by the way, and like I said, I'm gonna get out of here when this game is over, and I'm gonna be on Twitch later tonight. Does Gino bouncing around in the pocket ever not end up in a sack he needs to stop? I feel like he just needs to run more. Like he's capable of running. He's capable of scrambling for positive plays. He is. Just do it every now and then. Sometimes it feels like maybe he doesn't trust the knee. I don't know, but he can run more than he's been running so far this year. Going to my first ever Hawks game on Thanksgiving, do you think we can win that one? I mean, that's the one to win, right? That's when the crowd's going to be going insane and getting really hard. God, I hope the crowd is still like checked in. I'm worried that if we don't look good over the next couple games, the crowd will be kind of tuning out. That's why we need to look good against the Rams at the very least, so the crowd actually gives a crap about that game. Can we beat the Rams? I mean, we need to. Bottom line is, we need to. Like, you can say whatever you want to say about the Rams, about how they own us, about how it's a bad matchup, McVay on Pete. It doesn't matter. You have to win that game. You cannot. You are setting yourself up for like a 5-game losing streak if you lose to the Rams, and we're not going to be able to survive that. Do you think Purdy's overrated? I would say so. Hmm. I still don't really know how to feel about the Cowboys. Like, they beat the ever loving hell out of really bad teams, but they feel a little bit fraudulent, don't they? See you later, James. Yeah, we'll see what Stafford ends up doing. I think he's expected to play. There's still time to play Fallout 2. I keep putting that one off. These new games keep coming out and they pull my attention. Yeah, I did see Derek Young got hurt. He needs to like just be on IR. He needs to be out for the season. It's not his year. Well, I mean, John, there's only one game left that they can lose that they're sup- not supposed to lose. Like that Oregon State game is going to be basically even money, and Oregon's probably going to be favored. So the only team we have left to play that we should beat is Wazoo. No, Young is definitely not a waste of a roster spot. Derek Young is good. Derek Young has real value. What's your favorite holiday? Oh, it's got to be Christmas. Seattle is -2.5 next week at LA. Thoughts? I guess that's fair. I'm surprised they're putting out a line when they're not 100% sure if Stafford's going to play or not. Ooh, I thought the Jets had a big play there. Come on, Brees Hall. Yeah, Wazoo sucks though, John. Like Wazoo is legitimately an awful team. Like they have two good players, Cam Ward and Jaden Hicks. I cannot believe how far they have fallen. Wait, did Zach Wilson really throw a pick? Wow. Man, did you guys see the press conference last week with Robert Saleh? About he was asked why can't you bench Zach Wilson, and he's like, I don't know. Yeah, I've been there, Shalamov. I think Brees Hall was better. I liked Brees Hall more in the draft, but Brees Hall did tear his Achilles or ACL or whatever it was. Maybe that's changed things. Well, the implication is that the Jets owner wants them to keep playing Zach Wilson for some reason, right? The Jets owner is like standing for Zach. Jets can get the ball back here. Some players of the Seahawks watch your videos. I'm not aware of that, Shalamov. I don't know why I'm supposed to believe that's true. Yeah, the Texans are kind of saving our ass. I can't even lie. Texans really helping us out. I think seriously in the next draft, people will be afraid to pick undersized quarterback. Um, you can overcome undersized. It's not easy. It is a big deal. Like, I really do think Bryce Young is going to have a hard time overcoming it. I don't know, Von L. Zach Wilson, he's not in a bad situation. He's got some good receivers. He's got a pretty good running back. stable. Like, this is not a bad Jets offense. They just aren't scoring. Wow. The Jets are going to get the ball back with a timeout now. Yeah, David, I saw that. They tried to throw the ball to him at the goal line. That was kind of sad. I actually even said to myself, I kind of hope CMC tears his Achilles on this play because it's what the Niners deserve. Like, you're actually trying to break a touchdown streak record. In garbage time. Like, I actually said to myself, man, if CMC tears his Achilles on this play, that is well deserved. Do you think we have any chance versus this incoming schedule the way Gino is performing? I mean, I don't think we're going to win a lot of games. I think I'm hoping we can win a couple because that should be enough. Oh, touchback. All right. Come on, Zach Wilson. What do you got? I think I know exactly what you got. Russell's best season was 2015. I don't know what to think of the Cowboys, man. I don't think. I kind of think the Cowboys are fraudulent in terms of being like an elite team, but I do think they're good. Bills need a win very badly. I imagine they win. 2017 Russ was not that good. 2017 Russ, most games, he would do nothing for like the entire first 25 minutes. It's like he chugged a giant bottle of NyQuil right before the game started. There were like 13 games that year where it was just a 3-and-out fest until Wilson woke up. It wasn't that good. That was an incredibly overrated season because people were like, oh, he leads the league in touchdown passes. Yeah, that's because we can't run the ball at the goal line, so we always just throw it to Jimmy Graham. Check down, Zach Wilson. No, I'm a believer in Caleb. Yeah, I think he's like Luck or Lawrence. I think he's on that level. Oh, nice. Got to use your timeout. Are they? Why are they trying to save the timeout? Are they going to go to the locker room with that one timeout left, thinking, "Wow, they just wasted like 8 seconds for no reason." I mean, Washington did that today. Yeah, John Smith, because he accounted for over 94% of the team's offensive scoring because our main running back was Eddie Lacy. Like, if LeBron James got to take every single shot for the Lakers, he would account for 100% of their points. But that doesn't necessarily mean anything. No, Kevin Diesel, every single second you spend thinking about the Seahawks getting Caleb Williams is a second you could spend doing literally anything else. And there are only so many seconds in your life. Okay? I'm trying to help you. Hey, Addison. John, what does Blair Walsh missing game winning field goals have to do with Wilson not taking the first 20 minutes of every game off? Well, it's intercepted out of bounds. Like, one event does not cause the other. That's kind of what drives me crazy about that 2017 season. So many people just blame everything about that season on Blair Walsh, like the other things that happened with the team that year were okay. Blair Walsh had nothing to do with us losing basically a playoff game against the Rams 42-7. Like, Blair Walsh didn't even do anything in that game. So, like, to me, I look at that and I go, Blair Walsh becomes a scapegoat for everything else wrong with his team, and there's a lot wrong. Well, Zach Wilson has the arm to get into the end zone from here. Do you think the Seahawks should take Cam Ward? I'd be okay with that. I like Cam Ward a lot. And also, I think the last time a player won MVP without making the play, if you want to be that level of player, you got to at least make the playoffs. They have wild card spots now. If you're that guy, then make the playoffs. When's the next mock draft? Few weeks. People don't, I don't know. Some people really don't get into the draft content until after the season's over. Come on, Zach. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Throw it. Throw it. He threw it. Oh, that actually probably should have been caught. He should have caught that, I think. Garrett Wilson. Loudest game I've been to? Probably the NFC title game against the Packers. Okay. Well, that was a game that happened. Well, like John Smith, okay. Think about the game that year where we played the Titans. If you go back to that season, we played the Titans week 3. I believe the Seahawks offense started the game with 5 straight 3-and-outs. I'm going off of memory. I'm pretty sure we started the game with 5 straight 3-and-outs. And we're playing in 100-degree temperature in Tennessee. And the defense, which started that game out really good, completely melted because they got tired. Like, literally 5 straight 3-and-outs. And then Wilson threw a bunch of touchdowns in the second half, but we still lost because the defense got blown off the field because they got completely gassed. Like, Russell Wilson put up big numbers in that game, but he played like crap. Like, I actually watched that game, and I can tell you he didn't do his job in that game. So, numbers need context, or else they're just going to deceive you. Anyway, the game's over. So I think I've said everything that I need to say. We had a good stream tonight. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. Thank you to everybody who donated. Thank you to everybody who liked and supported. We're at 98 likes now, by the way. So if 2 more people want to like, we'll get to 100. And I will talk to you guys. If you come see me on Twitch, I'm probably doing more Starfield tonight. Come watch. If not, then there will be a video tomorrow. You guys know the drill. Thanks for hanging out. Going to be a good week, I think.